again, together in the room, the breadth of disciplines represented, so that's always good. We've done that for quite some time now here, as we've been through this process of becoming change. But I continue to see the tent broadening and more and more disciplines, and that's very exciting. I think I'm excited to see us continue this dialogue around framing how we can collaborate across disciplines, and whether it's through developing writing cases. I really like the idea about collaborating in terms of information through this Blackboard site or something of that sort, where we can then develop our own repository of activities and things that we're all involved in, so we can foster future collaboration. So that's been exciting, as well as the resources, of course. It was good to know about more resources.
Great, fantastic. Dan?
Yeah, I would just echo Keith 100%. I would love to see, I enjoyed seeing the range of expertise and skills that different faculty here could bring to the field of social entrepreneurship. We would hope that perhaps tomorrow morning we may get more into how to develop curricular structure and methods of interacting to bring those existing skills together and expertise into a program.
And to just continue going around. Either way.
I think the thing I learned is that.
Would you mind standing up?
I think the thing I learned is that social entrepreneurship doesn't really have any sort of standardized practices. I think that's a real opportunity for Rollins to provide some strong clarification related to those things. And so I'm like, interested in seeing how we can discuss about models that might bridge the gap between the things that we do now and some of the models that we've seen.
Thank you. Jay?
Well, I think I learned that I have a huge amount to learn. I'm eager to find out how mathematicians fit into this, as we were talking. So I'm hoping to follow up and get some more information, some links. I'm glad I got to meet Keith. I think Keith and his colleagues in the Promer School, maybe there's some possibilities for some future collaboration because of my interest in operations research.
Wonderful. Great, please.
It's Richard. I actually took away my favourite element was the panel discussion with students, no question of doubt. In particular, I think the most interesting thing was the first speaker when you were asking a question about should it be a major, should it be a minor, should it be courses around the college. They see Rollins as one institution. They see the courses as a smorgasbord of possibilities for them. So they'd be quite happy to see SESi, I won't say approved, but SESi courses in every department with the ability, if a student wanted to design their own minor or major by filling out the courses they wanted to see. The most interesting point they made, in my mind, was the fact that they all felt that they had got some exposure to SESi and really benefited from it, but that they would have loved to have done some of it a bit earlier. So it perhaps tells us that we need to be starting to pick some of the courses in some of the lower areas. And that was my big takeaway.
That's great.
I really appreciated the list of readings. I'm going to take that back to my campus. I think also some of the academic discourse and exchange that happened here today is helping me realize when I come back to my campus, I think I want to look to my community first and try to identify some examples of social entrepreneurship and bring them in to really help shape the conversation. I think that might help too with thinking about trust issues and power and outcomes. So I'm looking forward to taking what I'm learning today, processing all of the conversation and putting it into action.
I loved that Crummer Arts and Sciences and CPS were together in one space, really championing around this idea of creating change in the world and giving students the tools to do so. I loved the panel. What I would have loved to see is actually a panel of Rollins faculty who are currently in the weeds doing this stuff, because I think those practical examples of that practical application is what sparks a lot of, at least light bulbs in my head.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh,
Well, thank you for a full day of great information. I certainly went up on the scale. I came in knowing a lot less than I know leaving this afternoon. And I felt as though I would just have to listen to all of the ideas when I first came in order to grasp and begin to understand. That's how it happened. I mean, there was a lot of information that you gave us. So it filtered in. And perhaps not all of it got in, but quite a bit of it did. I'm most interested in the Transformative Action Institute that you all talked about, and the offshoot of that the NYC psychologist put together. And in terms of the full packet, I know that there will be elements of what I heard today that I'm going to want to integrate into a class that I'm actually doing this semester and want to do in the future.
Fantastic.
What elements, I'm not sure yet, but I'll be pulling elements to integrate.
Wonderful.
Do you mind if I record you?
I feel like Dave and I were visitors, so we appreciate being in that role. I think it was fascinating to see the mixture amongst you because we're a small campus, but it let us start brainstorming about, we're both in the School of Social Sciences and Professional Studies, but we started brainstorming about a couple of natural sciences professors that we ought to be talking to, and so I think that interdisciplinary aspect was helpful, and certainly I got much more of a sense of the breadth that can exist, that it's not an exclusive tight box.
Yeah, and I would have to ditto what she said about, involving the other disciplines and everything. I think there's going to be a lot more collaboration than what I'd originally thought would be necessary, or even hadn't occurred to me that some of these would be involved in it. The other thing is, as I said at the beginning, we're trying to develop a certificate and I was looking at what do we have and how do we incorporate the different courses and everything around campus that are already being offered. And this did confirm to me that yes, we also need to develop at least one introductory course that's going to pull this all together. So that's what I got.
I was very glad to be here and to get a background in this comparatively young science. I had a very different idea about what social entrepreneurship is when I came than when I left. I would have liked to see examples that focused on training, education, or human capital in some way, in that all the ideas we saw focused on widgets, on things that were being built and being delivered to people. And I'm much more interested in how to in education. I also did some reframing when one of my colleagues said, I don't do this. She said, yes, you do. You actually run an agency that reaches out and needs to think about social entrepreneurship. This semester, I'm also running a program trying to get a science project started in collaboration with our local science center that would like to be entrepreneurial rather than just service done. So it was very interesting. I looked to my business colleagues for leadership in this area. I'm 55 years old, and for 12 months of my life, I've worked for a profit-making organization. That's it. So when it comes to the concept of how to have something make money and be sustainable, I have got a clue. I really look to my business colleagues for leadership in this area.
I just want to thank you for the opportunity as well. For me, what I sort of gained out of it most strongly were the people around this room. I think sort of my faculty, colleagues, and the opportunity to sort of find individuals whom I know that I want to be working with in the future and doing things, for me, has turned out to be really, really valuable. In addition to sort of the materials that you provided as well. I thought the student panel was just really outside. I thought that was really fantastic. And I agree that having faculty as a panel and talking about the great things that people are doing right now has really gone a long way for them to communicate that. With regards to my commitment of what to do next, I have one sort of case study of social entrepreneurship already in the class right now. I'm looking forward to incorporating more and perhaps even think about project-based ventures and these things as well.
I look forward to seeing how chemistry gets
Oh,
reformed.
chemistry's easy. That's the easy part.
You might make me want to take your course.
That's the easy part.
Great.
I really appreciated all of the concrete examples and the case studies that you offer, in addition to all the resources. I learned best by examples, so all those examples were really good. And I'm going to look into the examples that you provided for actually incorporating it into teaching and education. And I just kind of have an action item now in my head to go out and really document more, because just in working with a lot of local nonprofits like United Way and Junior Achievement and those types of organizations, I feel like a lot of the great work goes undocumented and kind of goes unnoticed. Not that it's not making an impact, it's just not documented. So I feel like there's definitely something that needs to be done there in terms of documenting and revising that for more people to benefit.
Mark?
I learned a lot about the background history of Ashoka and actually about the breadth and the history of social entrepreneurship as a discipline. And I think I got a lot of resources, and then you also gave us a lot of resources to use in the future. One thing that I wish that I would have learned, or that we would have covered, is a little bit similar to what Sharon said, and also Nikki, is that a lot of, like my classes work with already existing organizations that are cooperatives, that are, those change agents are from indigenous communities of Mexico, so they don't need someone else to go and start a business. What they need is help with the infrastructure, because they started a cooperative, but they don't have a market. And so I think, at least from my understanding of social entrepreneurship, the idea of connecting with already existing organizations, but helping them to transform or become sustainable or create the infrastructure so they can market a product or making it falls into that category.
Definitely.
So I would have loved some more examples, like Sharon said, sort of a broader range of examples. And there's a local nonprofit here, the Hope Community Center. They're constantly struggling for money. They're one of the best organizations around in terms of their model of empowerment, but they're constantly trying to just meet their operating costs, right? They're going to a fundraiser on Monday for them. So they also, I would have liked ideas they're actually run by the Sisters of Notre Dame de Noor, but maybe there's a for-profit venture that could be attached to them that could actually make the money to sustain them. And so I would have liked a broader range of examples, and especially for things that fit what some of us are already doing. So
Definitely.
I am thoroughly excited about the PowerPoint that we will be receiving. I started scribbling frantically this morning, and then once I found out we were going to get it, I then was able to happily put my pen down and just focus on listening. What I am trying to do now and will be continuing to try to do in the future is, I've been teaching about global social issues for quite some time. What I'm doing now in my globalization and gender class, in which I'm working to refine, is to teach students the mechanics behind designing a gender-sensitive program, and then as part of their term paper, they actually have to do that. So instead of just thinking about a problem, they also have to think about creative solutions, even though they won't have the funding or anything, to do that at this time. And then I'm planning on teaching a new course next year on global development, and part of that will be teaching them about the challenges, but also teaching them about different types of ways to solve global challenges. And so I plan to highlight social entrepreneurship in that course and have some kind of module, although I haven't created it yet.
Sounds wonderful. Mark?
Well, it's been a lot of fun on the ride through, from watching social entrepreneurship here at the college develop and working with everyone. The most exciting thing is to see all the new folks that have gotten interested and are looking to develop courses and having the opportunity to work with everyone going forward. I loved hearing what the students said, because at the end of the day, that's why I do what I do, and I'm sure it's why all of us do what we do. And motivating them and seeing them get excited about something and setting them off on a path which hopefully they're going to follow for the rest of their lives would be, at least be involved in some way, would be wonderful. The more interesting things for me, I guess, coming from Max, as I'm doing a course on impact investing now, it's a work in progress. First time you do it, you sit back and think about, oh boy, I should have done this, that, and the other. So it's great to get an opportunity to think about things you can add to the course and enhance it while I'm moving along, so that the course builds a little more depth and breadth as we're going, not after the fact, but in process. So that's been a lot of fun as well. And I look forward to more of a collaboration on building major, minor, and everything else we think of doing along those lines too. So.
Yeah, I think Keith, you hit the nail on the head here. And I did, Mickey, and you're hearing it through everyone, and that is, you've given us an opportunity to talk across barriers. And I think the barriers that exist at Rollins are enormous, all right? And they're enormous because it's not developmental. Everybody's off in different directions. The idea of bringing it together, I think, is we're beginning to lay some groundwork here for that. And it'd be exciting to be able to not only team teach, but to see people start out in Mark's class or in Sharon's class, and then we move into Margaret's class, and as we move through it, end up giving you much better people, Keith, than you, of course, you probably give you wonderful people as it is. So we've laid the groundwork for that, I think, today. You've given us, I think, some really interesting things to think about. And I guess what struck me is I'm tending to be goal-oriented, and it would only take $6 million for us to create a Grameen Bank right here in Central Florida, the fourth one, I think, in the United States, is what they told me. And unfortunately, that guy gave $100 million to Tufts. And I say that unfortunately because, I'm sorry, $6 million in Central Florida would do a lot more than $100 million in the Boston area. Even though the property values are higher there. So my challenge to all of us is I'm hoping...
Well, they're about blizzarding right now, so
but I'm hoping we can create, with your help, a way of, and I said Rollins has a lot of obstacles, but you've told me that we have a really lot of things going for us. We've got an enormous alumni group. We have an enormous group of people who would maybe not give $100 million, but would consider this sort of thing. We've got sustainability programs moving in the city as well as in the county. So you've come, I think, at a wonderful time, but don't take this the wrong way. Where were you 10 years ago? We really needed you. So I'm hoping that we don't do the same mistakes we've done for 10 years in the next 10 years. And I think you've made it possible for us today to get past those obstacles. So thanks.
And last but not least, oh no, you've got more. Okay, sorry, my peripheral vision didn't. Okay, Jay.
I have always known about Ashoka Foundation, say, for the last 10 or 12 years. And when students come to my office wanting opportunities to work in global social issues or challenges, I've always gone to Ashoka Foundation and started looking up fellows and showing these students what kind of things are being done and what kind of role models they already have. So I came in today with a lot of respect for Ashoka Foundation and by extension for Ashoka U, and I'm leaving today pretty much with the same impression, but now I know that the students, what kind of progression of classes they can take, just like Joe was mentioning. I know to send them to Sharon, to Mark, to Margaret, and I learned something from Marina that I can talk to them about the affinity year, and I can talk to them about internships in Ashoka U. So we have passionate students. You heard from them on the panel, and it felt my heart good to feel that I have worked with all those 4 students on one scholarship application or the other, and I've gotten to know all 4 of them really well. I think speaks to, even though we are all dispersed and really divided, at the end of the day, I feel like we all know these students. We're a small family. We squabble a lot, we come together a lot. So I learned that we could all do awesome things for students using opportunities like this.
Thank you. And last but not least, Jerry.
Well, I certainly want to thank you for all the knowledge and resources you told us about this, and use it in many different ways. You know,
myself the whole importance, in fact, the need to have this be more focused, to infuse in courses where we can, is what we've emphasized. I know you moved me from a position of should I put it into my course into when and how. So I thank you for that.
I think my big takeaway is that our students are really, really lucky. Listening to you all and listening to our students and putting myself back in my student role when I was at Rollins, and just knowing how much potential there is and how you want to meet them where they want to be, it just thrills me. You know, it really thrills me, and the potential for collaboration, you know, across these boundaries. And when I listen to these examples, I think, wonderful, the barriers are low enough that we can enter and let's see what happens. But the big resounding message in my mind is, you know, Max mentioned, he said, you know, the core elements of this are system thinking and creativity. And creativity keeps just like going off in my head. And, you know, one of our 3 principles of excellence here is innovation, right? So there's a lot of work yet to be done. And let's unleash creativity among ourselves and not be afraid to try something new, because, you know, thank you for all of, you know, your timeline up until now, but there's a lot of work to be done, and it's kind of scary, but it's kind of really incredible, right, that those of us in this room have the potential to extend this timeline and just to do some really neat things and create best practices. And you know, I think Mickey and some of the service learning fan club are back here talking, and it's so neat, the idea that why can't Rollins? Well, we will, right? So why don't we create a new standardized, you know, way that this is integrated? And the groundwork that you all have each laid in your different disciplines is exactly why Ashoka is interested in Rollins, right? So this isn't a happenstance thing. You all are absolutely pivotal, and our non-Rollins friends as well. But just we're a really incredible bunch. So I'm really inspired. So thank you all.
I have to say, I can only second this. What impressed me the most is really, you know, you're a group that gets it. And that's fantastic because, you know, you care about your students. I think we saw this numerous times, and your students are fantastic. Congratulations. And I think we had a very open discussion, which I think is really critical in order to make progress. And I was very impressed, you know, I think we all know that different faculties, different departments have different ways of looking at the world. That's part of it. But you are in a really collaborative mode, and I think it's an incredible opportunity because there's momentum in this space right now. So there are enough resources to actually do something. You don't have to reinvent all the wheels, just some of them. You can do something with this. And, you know, as I said earlier, you're getting it, you're doing it. You're already, you know, you're doing some courses, you have an initiative, and I find it incredibly inspiring to see how much energy there's in the room, how much of a desire to, in fact, be creative, to make things happen, have this can-do attitude for your students, but also for your institution and for yourselves. Because, you know, we all can make a difference in the positions in which we are. And social entrepreneurship is a topic that enables us as educators to actually, through our students, achieve things that we otherwise could probably not. There will be better students that are working harder on the different topics that they need to master to build these critical skills because they're more motivated, and they will apply them to things that matter. And it's fantastic to be part of it. It's great to see that you are driving this at this level. So, congratulations.
By just reminding everyone that this is not the end, this is the beginning of ongoing collaboration. So for a small number of you who can't be here tomorrow, we will be able to continue the conversation over the next half hour or so. For those of you who are able to join tomorrow, we look forward to really rolling up our sleeves and delving into deepening this conversation in a smaller working group setting and really looking at mapping out all of the intersections to develop more of a robust interdisciplinary programmatic framework. For those of you even beyond that, I mean, we see this as an ongoing, very wonderful, continuous continually evolving relationship that Ashoka U has with Rollins and the continually expanding Rollins faculty and student community. And so we look forward to continuing many more conversations like this, and we look forward to seeing the amazing creativity that comes out of this. But we just want you to know you're not alone. There are collaborators both across this wonderful community at Rollins. There's collaborators across the Ashoka U network. We're happy to tap you into various people, are in similar positions and similar disciplines as what we have. People trying to develop new courses in disciplines at other campuses, so always happy to be a connector. And so we look forward to kind of co-learning, co-creating, and co-collaborating with you. Thank you, and get some rest tonight. You deserve it. It's the weekend.
And we're at Wonder Park Plaza tomorrow. Remember that. There's plenty of parking over there, but we will not be at Galloway.
Great. Thank you.